Welcome back, everybody. So my next movie review for you is Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. But before we get into this movie review, if you like watching my reviews, please do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Please like, share some of my videos. It'd be very, very much appreciated. So Raiders of the Lost Ark was released on June the 12th, 1981. Its director was Steven Spielberg. It was made on a budget of 20 million US dollars and made a whopping 389.9 million US dollars. And chances are it's probably made a lot more since then through DVD and Blu-ray kind of sales. Also, another contributing factor to this movie, or people behind this movie, is Lucasfilms is the production company behind this movie. The story is also done by George Lucas and Philip Kaufman. Now, those just Steven Spielberg and George Lucas just teaming together at that time, knowing that they were the powerhouse kind of directors at that very specific time, I think this movie was always going to do well, always going to attract people into the cinema is anyway at that point, because these two directors are just absolutely fantastic in their own right. So the cast in this movie consists of Harrison Ford, Paul Freeman, Karen Allen, Ronald Lacey, John Rhys Davis, plus many, many others. So in this first installment in the Indiana Jones franchise, we follow a archaeological professor, Indiana Jones, where he goes on this kind of action adventure or quest to go and find and seize a biblical artifact called or known as the Ark of the Covenant. But in this movie, he is not the only person searching for this artifact either, and that is about as much as I'm going to say on the overview on this one, because in case you haven't seen it. But here we go. Review. What do I honestly think about this movie? It's a very, very entertaining movie. I have to be honest with you. There are many things that I like about this movie, and there's very little I dislike. In fact, I don't think there's any part of this movie I actually dislike in any way, shape, or form. And I'm going to get into those reasons right about now. So here it is, Raiders of the Lost Ark movie review. Now, as you could probably tell from the start of this video, I'm not going to go out of my way to find anything which is out of place or I dislike in this movie, because generally, I have to be honest with you, this is a classic to me. This will always be a classic, and anybody my age or anybody that I know that has watched this movie will always consider this as an absolute classic action adventure movie. And I got so much love for this movie and this franchise, possibly not as much love for the fourth one, but it's still an entertaining watch and it still does feel like a Indiana Jones. This one is, in my opinion, the benchmark for any kind of action adventure movie ever made since this movie's release. And the reasons why I enjoy this movie is because, first of all, they do not waste any time setting up the storyline. It's not a hard or complicated storyline in this movie. They set this out very, very early on. You know that they are searching for a artifact called the Ark of the Covenant. They set this out very, very quickly. We also know that there is another team out there looking for this as well. So the storyline of this movie is set out very, very early on in the movie, which is a good thing, because then you can just sit back and enjoy the movie. This movie is 1 hour 54 minutes long. There's not one part of this movie where my mind wanders in any way, shape, or form, and I can sit down and watch this movie and just be like this. Wow, love it. Fantastic. And it doesn't make no difference how many times I've watched this in my life, I still get exactly the same enjoyment as I did from the first time I watched this movie. And I mean that as well. It's one of these movies, I love action adventure movies with this one. And this movie does give you a lot in here. It gives you those kind of suspenseful build-up moments. It gives you some dramatic moments. There are fight scenes in this moments. There are certain parts in this film where it explains certain stuff in this film as well, but they don't go over complicated with it. It's simple storytelling, but made effective for you. and easy for you to understand. So you don't spend the movie trying to figure out the story. It's more about what you can see visually. And which gets me on to other things that I like in this movie is again, and I know I keep mentioning this in movie reviews or these retrospective movie reviews, but I am such a fan of set designs in this. To know that there has it this or some sets or most sets get built from nothing to the finished product, and you can see this in this movie and you go, there's a lot of detail and a lot of attention put into these set designs, and you can see that in this movie opening sequence in the caves where he's looking for a artifact. Absolutely fantastic. There's so much different amounts of detail in this movie or in sets. I absolutely love this. I really, really do. And again, this movie is not heavily reliant on like special effects or CGI. Yes, there is a section towards the end, and there's a bit in towards the end where you go, how did this get passed for a PG? Because that would be enough to scare a 6-year-old kid who's watching this movie. And I do wonder, because even now, even watching it this morning, I was just like going, how did that get a PG rating? Because that's enough to scar anybody. But I think you kind of just let that kind of side of it go. And there is attention to detail throughout the whole of this movie. And there really, really is, whether it's set design or just the slight little snippets of storytelling just to help you along through this movie, but not over storytelling where your brain starts to think, where you can just still just sit down and enjoy this movie. Other parts is obviously Harrison Ford in here. He is this kind of handsome, swaggerish kind of archaeological professor. You know his driving force. He wants to go and find these artifacts which have been lost for 1,000 years. He's absolutely fantastic in here. Got this kind of charming kind of wit and cockiness to him, but you do get very much behind this character. I've always thought that Harrison Ford was an absolutely fantastic actor anyway, but this is probably one of my most favorite roles from him. Is the first Indiana Jones movie, because it's something new, something different. Well, not something new, something different. It's the benchmark for action adventure movies, which just makes it so enjoyable. And there's exactly the same as supporting characters in here. Karen Allen in here is performance again. She adds her touch to this movie, and she just makes it more of an enjoyable watch. Yes, there are other characters in it add their own thing into this, as in the main villain, who's played by Paul Freeman, who is like Indiana Jones's Balok, I believe his name is. He is like Indiana Jones's not arch nemesis or kind of counterpart who always in his way. I generally like, he's not an incredibly creepy villain in any way, shape, or form. He has exactly the same goal as in Indiana Jones, but he's just going about it in a different direction. Again, he adds another element into this movie which just makes it even more enjoyable, and that's exactly the same as every other character in this movie. Visually, and there is a lot to talk about. Visually, you get an absolute spectacle, but when you add in an absolutely fantastic musical score into this movie as well, and there is a fly in it going across the screen trying to get some airtime as well. When you add in an absolutely fantastic and iconic musical score into this movie as well, just really, really adds to it, especially in the high tension moments as well. I absolutely love that. Or even when the Indiana Jones theme music comes in, it's just an added touch, and I get this kind of big chill and rush go through my body, and it just reminds me of when I first time I watched it. I am never ever bored from this movie. I will never ever get bored by watching this movie ever in any way, shape, or form. It is an absolutely fantastic watch, and if you have not seen this movie, I highly, highly, highly recommend this movie. And if I was to give this a rating, it would be a very, very strong 10 out of 10. It is as simple as that. I could quite happily go through this movie and probably pick things apart and go, that doesn't really work. But I don't want to, because it gives me so much enjoyment, and if I go and start looking for problems for it, it will just spoil it for me. And this is a movie that I want to constantly watch over and over again and just not worry and just sit there like I showed you, like this. Yep, this is so damn cool. Love it. And that's all I want from a movie. If I can do that or get some sort of entertainment value from a movie, I'm always happy. So on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below. As normal, if you haven't seen this movie, like I said, I highly recommend this movie. Watch the movie, come back, tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below. I hope everybody has a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please stay tuned for the 5 bonus facts to do with the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark movie, which are coming up right about now. So, here we go. 5 bonus facts to do with Raiders of the Lost Ark. The first 2 you will probably know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So, the fight scene where Indy shoots a sword guy, the scene where he pulls out the gun, was completely improvised acting. Apparently, Harrison Ford was suffering from food poisoning and quite ill and wasn't up to doing that stunt. And I do love a good bit of improvised acting because that is an iconic scene. Now, I have to be honest. So, fact number 2, R2, D2 and C3PO make an appearance in the Well of Souls. That is quite a known fact, to be fair. And I've seen that on many other videos, and it is there. I have checked as well. I'm sure some of you have checked as well. Fact number 3 is the stare down between Indy and the Cobra was used or done by using a sheet of glass between them both. Apparently that Cobra was actually fairly angry and kept on spitting venom at the sheet of glass. That would suggest to me that he's a little bit more than fairly angry. I would have said it was probably more pissed off, to be fair. And I have to be honest with you, I do not like snakes in any way, shape or form. But even with a sheet of glass in front of me, I wouldn't be anywhere near a snake. It's as simple as that. It's a fear. I have to be honest with you. So, fact number 4. Other people considered for the role of Indy consist of Nick Nolte, Steve Martin, Bill Murray, Tom Selleck, Chevy Chase, Jeff Bridges, and there was a few others, but the one that really stood out for me was Jack Nicholson was actually considered to play the role of Indiana Jones. No matter what, I cannot... Harrison Ford was probably the only choice, and I admit, obviously, this movie franchise is, I don't know, over 30 years old now. I can't imagine anybody else apart from Harrison Ford being Indiana Jones. It is as simple as that, to be fair. But Jack Nicholson, considered to play Indy, just from appearance, he just doesn't seem right to play that role, and I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't choose anybody else. I don't know, Bill Murray as Indiana Jones, would that have worked? I don't think it would have done for me either. And it's exactly the same with Tom Selleck as well. Even Chevy Chase, Jeff Bridges possibly, but I don't know. It's one of them for me. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm just glad they stuck with Harrison Ford, or they chose Harrison Ford. Fact number 5. Everyone, apart from Steven Spielberg, got sick on set. So there is the Cairo kind of part of the movie shoot when they were out there. All of the crew and cast pretty much got food poisoning, apart from Steven Spielberg. That guy is a machine. You know, he just keeps going. It's as simple as that. Or aside that, he's actually an alien. But you know, either way, there are 5 facts. Again, it's another movie where there's absolutely loads and loads of facts on this movie, which I did read through even though I haven't mentioned them, which is just awesome for me because I love reading like random facts about movies or production kind of faults or what it takes to actually kind of make a movie. I love all that kind of stuff as well as watching the movie. So on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care and goodbye.